What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for November 25th, 2019. I am one of your hosts, Imran Khan, and joining me today is FM3_ Fran Mirabella III. Fran, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Back-to-back Kinda Funny Games Daily episodes with you, Imran.
It feels like we were just here a couple of hours ago. Granted, it was a weekend ago, but I spent that weekend playing video games, so whatever.
Yeah.
How you doing with the cold?
Oh, I'm fine. I mean, it's funny. We were talking about this coming in. I'm like, my house was freezing this morning. I'm from the Chicago area, and like, we just don't have heat in San Francisco. It's not that cold outside. It's like 50, which is no big deal. But in your house overnight, it'll get to be like 58 degrees or whatever, and you're like, that's kind of cold.
Yeah, I was in Kansas City a week ago, and it was like normal temperature for them, but like deathly cold for me. So it was like low 40s-ish.
Yeah, you're from here.
I am from Georgia originally, which makes it
Oh.
much, yeah. So from Georgia, then moved here. So I've never actually been to a place that gets
You're warm-blooded.
reasonably cold.
That's fair.
So like when I'm there, like I have gloves on, coats, scarf, all that stuff. Everyone else is like in a hoodie and a t-shirt.
Everybody where it's getting cold or is cold right now, they're like, you guys are you're babies. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
no, we are babies.
But you don't have heat inside, and I'm telling you, it's a big difference. But
Yes. When you wake up cold, it's hard to get warm.
the last funny part of this story is, if you know this, Destiny, if you raid in the first like week when they release their raids, you can order a jacket that's like a custom special jacket that you only get if you finish the raid. But I got one that's like more of a winter puffy coat, and there's been no reason to wear it except I was freezing this morning, so I made some eggs in that jacket this morning, so you can picture that.
Yeah. Eggs and jacket is always like a
Hey man,
funny
I
image.
felt good while I was doing it, and then I warmed up, and then I was good.
Yeah. All right, this is Kinda Funny Games Daily each and every weekday at 10 a.m. live right here on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, where we run you through all the nerdy video game news that's fit to hear. If you're watching live, you can correct us when we get stuff wrong by going to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. To be part of the show, head to patreon.com/kindafunnygames, where bronze members are above get to write in, and silver members are above get the show ad-free. If you don't want to watch live, you can watch later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, or listen later by searching for Kinda Funny Games Daily on podcast services around the globe. Today's stories include Kojima wants to make a horror game, Microsoft might want to make xCloud exclusives, and Cyberpunk will probably come to next-gen systems. First, a little bit of housekeeping. We got a weird schedule this week because it's Thanksgiving week, so we don't really have that many shows. So Gamescast will actually be not only today, but right after this.
That's right.
So we will be doing it live for patrons, recording it at 11 a.m. Pacific-ish.
11-ish.
11-ish, yeah.
Probably a little. Are we doing a pre-show too, Kev, or just going right in?
Yeah. But we usually include that with the recording.
Totally.
Yeah. So we're doing that. This one will be a special show. You guys can call in to me, Fran, and Andy, who are going to be recording live. We want to hear your Thanksgiving memories, like what you're thankful for. Want to hear your recipes. And I guess video games, too. We'll talk a little bit about
Is
that.
what the show's about? I thought it was still about games. I don't know.
Mostly it's going to be a
We're
check.
sorting it out still.
It's been like 3 days.
Game-oriented, like, things.
Yeah, I want to hear your Thanksgiving game bullshit. So be sure call. Well, the number will be live when Gamescast goes live. So if you're a Patreon or a Patreon subscriber, you want to call in, talk to us about it, feel free. We're going to have the phone lines open for that one.
Don't leave any voicemails. We won't hear them.
Yeah, do not leave a voicemail.
Good heads up.
Thank you to our Patreon producers, Blackjack, Zach Parsley, and Mohammed. Today we're brought to you by Nothing and No One, and I will not tell you about that later, because we have no ads this week. It's a short week. For now, let's begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We got 4 stories today.
Baker's dozen!
First of all, Hideo Kojima. I think you've heard of him. He's like an indie developer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
He's hinting at a return to horror. This is from GameSpot by James O'Connor. Kojima Productions' Death Stranding released on PlayStation 4 this month, earning a 9 out of 10 in our review, in GameSpot's review, and marking a new era for director Hideo Kojima 4 years after his split with Konami. Before Death Stranding, Kojima was working on a new Silent Hill game called Silent Hills. A much-loved demo, PT, was released, but Konami ultimately canceled the game, much to the chagrin of fans. Now, years later, it's starting to look like Kojima is thinking about horror again. On Twitter, Kojima has made reference to making the scariest horror game, and he's watching horror movies to prepare. The film in the tweet in question is The Eye. It's not actually a Thai film, as Kojima claims. It's the work of Hong Kong directors, the Pang brothers. Part of the film, however, is set in Thailand. Quote, as to make the scariest horror game, I'll watch the scary movies in order to awaken my horror soul. The Eye is a Thai horror movie I read when making PT, but was too scary to finish watching. The package is so scary that I rented the disc only. Will I be able to finish watching? From this, it's not clear whether Kojima is actually moving ahead with the horror game development or just exploring the possibility. In 2017, Kojima said he did not plan on returning to horror, but PT continues to be relevant, despite having been delisted years ago. Earlier this month, actor Norman Reedus said he was okay with Silent Hills not going ahead, as it meant he was able to work with Kojima on Death Stranding instead. But since Konami holds the right to Silent Hill, any horror game Kojima works on would have to be different anyway. Kojima has not tweeted about the movie again since, so it's not clear whether he has finished Third Eye or not, or whether it has inspired him to return to horror, or, quote, awakened his horror soul.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, how did you play PT when it came out?
Yeah.
Were you, like, in on the thing of, like, I wonder what this is? What is this mystery?
I didn't really I wasn't one of the investigators, if that's what you mean. But I was following it at the time, for sure. Yeah.
I think I was on vacation when it came out. By the time I came back, everyone had already figured out, like, oh, there's a Silent Hill teaser at the end of this.
Yeah.
But...
yeah, I feel like it was like while I was at Gamescom, but I might be misremembering that. Was it in August?
It would have had to be, like, July,
okay,
I think.
So I probably
You're wrong.
Yeah.
But it might have gone on for a while. Maybe there was something else that came up at that Gamescom after. But it was close. It was a summertime thing. Yeah, let's give him something to write in about. So
Yeah.
I didn't say that's what it was. I said I couldn't remember. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that was like a big deal then, is not only the teaser, that was the huge part of it, was what it revealed, and nobody really knew about that. But then...
A lot of people give PT credit of, like, I've seen it pop up as not only on, like, best horror game lists, but best game of the decade lists recently.
That's stating a lot.
That is stating a lot. It is a very
love
creepy game.
The atmosphere. I mean, it is top atmosphere, and what it creates.
Right.
From like a gameplay perspective, though, you just walk through, several hallways and figure out a few things, and like
Terrifying though, right?
It's great, but
Yes.
it's all about the atmosphere, the sound, and the implementation, and it's awesome. I mean, I think PT's really cool. When it stopped working on my PlayStation, I was like super upset that they managed to brick it.
That one has always sucked. Like, I can understand that Konami doesn't want to sell this game. They have some animus towards Kojima. I can kind of get that. Delisting it and making so it actually expires on existing systems sucks.
Yeah, that is a very annoying, just like byproduct of the modern age is what I'm looking for. It's like that they're able to do that. Like back in the day, that would have just come on a disc and it's just on the disc and everybody's safe.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like, I tried to protect that for a long time, and then I just showed up one day and they got me with one of their updates, I guess.
Yeah.
I think some people still have like an old, PlayStation that hasn't been updated.
And people still sell PS4s on eBay that have it has PT on it. You can play PT.
Yeah, but that means it has not been updated and all this other stuff. So, Kevin, is there a reason there's files behind us? We okay?
We're breaking everything? Okay.
That's
cool.
okay.
For whatever reason, there's been some sort of update or something to the keyboard, and it always switches over to VLC. So I was trying to look up PT right now.
Oh, gotcha.
And
If
it,
you're
like-
watching the show live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the monitor behind us changed.
If you're
I
not-
just wanted to
if
make
you're
sure.
watching it as a VOD.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure
No,
Kevin knew. He
No,
was
I'm
surfing
aware.
through his prawn folder. Over
You want
there.
to
I was
embarrass
like,
Kevin
what's up?
more, is
No,
what you're saying.
Fran, don't be rude. I was trying to look up to see if we can buy a PT PS4 right now.
Could we?
Just-
Could
just
we
to
expense
see-
that?
So
Just-
if you're
well,
serious
yeah.
about it, Kevin, and we can, I'm expecting the result.
Yeah.
You will buy it. Because he's looking.
No,
You're being real mean to
I
Kevin,
wanted,
Fran.
I wanted to see if it was possible because I
All
thought
right.
that. God, I hate you.
I'm just messing with him. It's Monday here. Let's
It's
talk about
Monday
the story
most
at hand,
Mondays.
right? Do we think Kojima is actually, doing this? Just to jump in with my answer, I read this. I was like, I don't think Kojima is actually implying he's working on a horror game. I think that
I mean, he says as to make the
He-
scariest horror game. Like, that's the exact thing in the tweet.
yeah, but he doesn't say when. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a bit of a gotcha.
I can see after Death Stranding, Sony or whoever being like, hey, yeah, you did the experimental thing. That was cool. It worked out fairly well. We sold some copies. Why don't we go something Metal Gear or Silent Hill-ish next?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that this potentially isn't research for, the project that the team is currently working on at Kojima Productions. That's where I was about to go with it, is like, I mean, I do... Let me backtrack. I'm not saying it's not happening or not possible.
Yeah.
I was just saying I don't think his tweet was intended to be taken as this is the project I'm working on right now. Because he knows full well that that's like a really big deal, is to say my next game is going to be a horror game.
But
You
if
know what I
anyone
mean?
could get away with it, honestly,
Yeah,
it could
he
be
can do whatever he
Kojima.
wants.
Yeah, who's going to stop him? Like, is something going to be like, oh, no, we're not really talking about that right now. Can you please just like bet? No, they're going to be like, well, I guess fucking Hideo Kojima just said what the next project is, so whatever.
Right. But again,
It's also a good way to get a bidding war started on your next project.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I have a feeling they're already into the next project. And
Speaking
but
of,
then again, I don't know. Maybe they had to prove themselves with Death Stranding sales for certain people. But I don't know. Meaning, who's not taking, the knock at their door from Kojima? Like 8 months ago when they're like, I'm finishing this up. Either Sony signed them up for another exclusive or into development. They said, you know what, this is pretty wild. We don't know if it's going to hit, the market like we think. And they said, you know what, you're free to move around, meaning we're not going to pay you as much as we did for this or whatever it was.
I assume they're going to give him more money, but it's funny you say knock at the door because one of Kojima's stories is that I think fund Metal Gear, I think Konami wasn't initially excited to fund like that game for the MSX, so he had to like knock on the doors of, I think, investors, and just be like, "Hey, this is my game idea. Can you please fund this for me?"
Interesting.
But yeah, speaking of, Kevin did show us the bidding for that, around $500 for a PS4 with like PT on it.
I mean, it makes sense because it's ultra rare, actually.
Yeah.
Because of their
With
ability
old firmware.
Yeah.
to have bricked it. Yeah, like I tried to protect, but I even have. You know what's funny? I have an old PlayStation. Oh no, it broke. I gave it to my brother, and then it broke. But anyway, I was like, do I have a copy anywhere that has been on an old system? But IGN should have one sitting in its cabinets back there. We protected it for a long time. So
I mean, it's that video game preservation is a rough thing that there's a decent
in
chance.
the digital age.
Yeah, people are not able to recreate that game exactly. I did see like One Dreams.
Yeah, didn't they recreate it pretty close?
Pretty closely, yeah. Not
Kinda
exactly
crazy
the same
they
thing.
can do that with Dreams. How'd they get all the sound effects then? And stuff?
If you
Like,
plug the mic audio directly into the controller, it'll just record it. So like from a let's say a PC to and you just play the WAV file.
Oh, and well, what I was thinking about is how do you get the isolated audio? But they didn't. It just like they took
I
the
assume
experience
someone.
one to. Well, in other words, how are you going to cue all that different stuff? But I guess it's close enough that they probably manage. But
Yeah.
Anyway, the question I was going to ask you was: you do think that that's what he's working on?
I think that's what he wants to work on. Let's see if that ends up being the actual project. He said like 5 things at this point. He said like I'm doing a movie. I'm doing
Exactly, right.
Like
That's what I'm saying. I'm sure he wants to work on a lot of different stuff, and he's still thinking about awakening his horror soul and like.
regardless of how you feel about Death Stranding, it lets him write his ticket to wherever he wants to right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sales wise, though, we'll see. But like, meaning, I think Kojima Productions, regardless, has proven, from the tech to the quality of the game, regardless if you like the style, that they can, like this team knows what they're doing.
Right.
Amazing work. So, I mean, if they're still working on the Decima engine, though, that brings up, some interesting
I mean, with
questions.
Herman Hulst now the Worldwide Studios head, maybe he's like mandating Decima everywhere. Like, hey, yeah, maybe you should use our engine still. Like,
Yeah,
let's not
I mean, it would seem to me that there's something going on in this world where they're allowing them to release Death Stranding on PC.
Yeah.
And I assume convert the Decima engine, and that would be the first example of that, right?
Decima on PC, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Sony is not always like they sometimes just put games on PC. Not them specifically. They'll usually outsource it to someone else to publish it, but
they're cool with that as the different market because like it doesn't compete with home console sales,
right? And like
not as directly anyway.
I think Detroit is a good example because that game
there you
theoretically
go.
like still sells on PS4 and it's either out or coming to PC.
Yeah, no, it is out already. I think
Is it already out?
Epic Game Store? and all that, right? Yeah,
I know they announced it. I don't know if
should
it's
be.
like,
It's funny because I have the Epic Game Store and like some of those I get as part of the creator program. You get access to those games for free or whatever, and I'm pretty sure it's sitting up there. But maybe I'm thinking about Heavy Rain is up there.
I know Heavy Rain and Beyond
Heavy Rain
already
is
up
up there, but maybe Detroit's not yet. But
Yeah.
this is another good one for You're Wrong.
But also like Ready Set Heroes is not a big game, but it's a game they put out and it launched simultaneously on the Epic Game Store.
Yeah.
So they're not against it.
Right. But I want to finish this by saying I would love a horror game from, I think some of the best elements from Death Stranding were like the creepy vibes, and like if you've played the game and you know Higgs, Troy Baker's character, and some of the scenery around that, like I thought that was some of the coolest stuff. Also Mads' character in some of these like these unique environments they put him in.
The scene they made just for the trailers, basically.
Yeah, they're really cool style, and so I hope that we do what. In other words, I hope that we get it, but also whatever he does is going to contain this inspiration regardless. Like,
Right.
I would argue that Death Stranding is pretty creepy from the get-go.
It is. It has a lot of creepy moments. and I kind of
just
wish
the
it stuck with
BTs,
that.
period, are creepy. And, like, in the beginning, it's not a spoiler, right? You deliver a dead body to an incinerator. I mean, it's in his nature already. His soul has already
Yeah,
been
it was tense
awoken.
and like interesting when you leave that incinerator and the BTs are just there.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, this is genuinely kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
They didn't stick with that because once you can fight back, they become not really a big thing.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'm interested to
I
see.
played on hard mode, so maybe it. I was terrified a lot of the time when I ran into him.
I think
That's not
yeah.
shade. I'm just being.
Yeah.
I was terrified when I ran into him because I was also like more of like a perfectionist in that I did not want to screw up my package
Right.
delivery and all that, and I didn't want to waste the time either.
I do think Kojima works better when he has limitations, and inherent to horror games is limitations because you can't be too powerful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that kind of ruins the game a little
then you're
bit.
not scared. So
Did you ever see that? I think it was a couple of weeks ago that somebody unlocked the camera in PT. So they were able to see that the ghost was just behind you the entire game.
yeah.
There was no way for you to actually
Literally,
notice
it was like
it,
attached to your back effectively.
Yeah.
Right? I read that.
which
yeah.
is actually, I don't know if that's like a game design thing of like it makes it easier to like teleport it
think-
around,
I assumed it was a game design thing.
but it's just a creepy ass
It's
thing
super
that I like.
creepy. Yeah.
And I would love to see. I want to see Kojima make a new Silent Hill. I don't know that I want to see him write a new Silent Hill.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's gonna be. I mean, do you
I don't
really
think
think that they can like make?
I don't think
up
they'll call
in
it Silent
case-
Hill. I think they'll make that same game though.
Well, that would be the smartest move. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, now that you say it,
Wouldn't that be illegal?
No, I mean, depends on what they're not going to reuse like all that stuff they've used or made.
yeah,
there.
you can't use any of that IP that was created there, but
Right.
like there's
I could see
there
it being-
wasn't
yeah.
much created. Like
I could see it being a Bloodstained and Castlevania sort of thing, of like this is basically the same game. We just changed some
yeah,
shit.
no, and that now that you say it, it's resonating. I'm like, if he thinks that's like the next big market and what he wants to work on, I mean, just diving in and trying to make like the most Silent Hilly but new generation of whatever that is, with his own twist.
Yeah.
I think Death Stranding has proven he just is not interested, and Metal Gear even proved it. Like, he's just not interested in taking a current genre and sticking in those rails, staying on the rails. So I'm excited to see whatever he does next,
Yeah.
whether Death Stranding was your style or not. It does some really amazing things and it has a beautiful vision, and story-wise, I still don't understand it, but
We also just we need more AAA horror games. Like
We do.
There's pretty much it's just Resident
Do we
Evil.
though, guys?
We do.
we? Some
Yeah,
people
we do.
don't like playing horror games because it scares them too
No,
much.
but
Are any of those people in this room,
end
Kevin?
of the day,
Maybe.
yeah.
I would like to watch people play more AAA horror games.
Yes, I would like to do that on
Yes.
stream.
But I read
Twitch.
online that 1 out of 3 people hate horror games. You know what I mean?
People like to watch people play horror games. I think also people like to play horror games for a limited amount of time sometimes. Even
Yeah.
if they're like, I can't finish it, they liked the thrill that they got,
That-
even in a short period
That
of time.
reminds me, I was planning to pick up over this next break. I was planning to play through Resident Evil 2 because I've yet to do that. Because I'm gonna guess that
It's not
comes
that
up
long,
in Game
so
of the
that's
Year.
the good news.
Yeah.
It's really not that long. You'll be fine.
All right, moving on. Microsoft in early talks for Project xCloud exclusives from IGN by Andrew Smith. With the open beta now live in the US, UK, and Korea, Project xCloud is one of Microsoft's next-gen big selling points. And it seems it could be bigger than we initially thought. During interviews at XO19 last week in London, xCloud head Kareem Chowdhury told Stevivor that the company is in early talks with developers to bring exclusive games to Project xCloud. Details are still vague, but according to Chowdhury, Microsoft is exploring options of developing first-party exclusives. Quote, in terms of Project xCloud exclusives, we're in early talks with first and third parties, but we don't have any announcements to share. New content and IP takes 18 months to 2 years to develop. Chowdhury went on to make it clear that any Project xCloud exclusives wouldn't be available anytime soon, and the current focus is on making Project xCloud as smooth as possible at launch. The first thing we're doing is lifting and shifting content that doesn't require any development changes into xCloud. So right away, we've got a platform that can run any of the 3,000 games you can run on Xbox today, Chowdhury said. But from Gamma Sutra, from Alyssa McAloon, an Xbox spokesperson later told Gamma Sutra that the company's xCloud development currently revolves around serving its our core console business, and there are currently, quote, no plans for exclusive content. Quote, we're very early in multi-year journey for Project xCloud, which is currently in public preview. We are investigating a variety of new capabilities made possible by the cloud. However, we remain committed to an approach with game streaming that is complementary to consoles and have no plans for cloud-exclusive content at this time. So they're kind of saying both things right now. We're looking at it, but we're not focusing on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the story's too complicated. It's basically them saying we think that exclusives will be important to the platform eventually, so we're in early talks with developers, maybe or maybe not something signed, and there's just somebody else, that was saying, look, our focus is not that right now, obviously, because we're trying to bring all these titles over. I mean it's as simple as that.
It's a bad look to say it this early on of like, hey, I know you guys don't like streaming services, and Stadia is really fucking the dog at this point. Why don't we give you some streaming exclusive things?
Yeah, but wait, you think it's bad for them to say that?
I think it's a bad look right this second.
I don't think that at all. I think that, Google started an entire studio, first party to say we're going to have exclusive cloud streaming content.
Right.
Microsoft, obviously, it's intuitive, but, for them to say we're in early talks, I don't think that's a big deal whatsoever. It's sort of like, duh. What that means, I think what that means, right, is like, because xCloud is multi-platform. I think what it means is keeping it off of Stadia, right? Just to be clear, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you can only play it on xCloud, I don't think. I think it's saying you cannot, or not only Stadia, more importantly for them, to be honest, at this moment, it's keeping it off PlayStation.
I
and we'll see plenty of that. Like, it's just exclusive titles to the...
Yeah, I assume what they're trying to do, or they're trying to say, is we could theoretically, using these cloud-based systems that are not necessarily Xbox Ones, but like are based on that architecture, make something that would not run on an Xbox One.
See, I don't think it's that at all.
I think they're taking that to developers like, hey, do you have any ideas that we could do with this thing? Like, okay, let's take Breakpoint as an example. The Stadia version of Breakpoint, which is not out yet.
Ghost Recon.
Yes. Okay. Is not like they put it as exclusive Stadia feature that you could see what all your friends are doing because it's just a video feeds. No one's actually playing this game on their existing system. Theoretically, you could make a version of the game or a future, let's say Gears of War or whatever, for xCloud only that shows you what your friends are like doing and looking at. Theoretically, yes, I agree with you. That's not exciting.
Like stretching.
But I understand, like, that is a thing that you were unlikely to be able to do if everyone's just using their own Xbox.
Yes. They're like jumping into, a moment of a game that your friend's playing or whatever. Like, yeah, I get that, but those are exclusive features, and I don't think you're wrong about it. I just think, I think at a base, right, all it's saying is like, it's like the Epic Game Store. It's like, we would like to keep Red Dead Redemption 3 off of Stadia and PlayStation, so we're talking to Rockstar early, seeing if we can get a 3-month exclusive window. I'm making that. That's what I think this is about, as well as, like, year-long exclusives, right? It's like, this is only available on, xCloud for the next year. Like, of course, like, the battle will be fought in the same way that it's been fought on consoles and across Steam and Epic Store and all that now, so none of it's that surprising.
Yeah, we'll
see. Good for them,
I would not be shocked if they released a game that only plays on xCloud.
I would.
I think it's a bad idea, but I don't disagree with you that it defeats the purpose. But on the other hand,
no bad ideas in brainstorming, Imran. So I'm not I'm not shaming for the idea.
Nintendo released a 3DS without 3D. They released a Switch that can't switch. Like
the 2DS, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you go, okay, well, we've expanded this enough based on the brand and the name, so why don't we just do a thing with it?
Yeah. Yeah, look, I don't think it's impossible.
Well, let me ask you this.
I just think it's against, isn't the nature of xCloud to say you can play it on your... Here,
but you can still do all that.
It's a gotcha situation, though, Imran, because you can play xCloud on your Xbox. I'm pretty sure, that's
right.
how it's going to work.
Yeah.
So, inevitably, it is still for your Xbox.
It's going to be
There's no way for it to not be, ever.
But you could also play it on phone.
But you would have to have the service if that's what you're saying.
Yes.
And that's the piece we don't know either. I think I was talking to some folks, maybe you remember this, do we know what xCloud as a service will cost yet and how it'll be bundled? And I think
it's still in beta and they've not talked about it.
Yeah, this would be a good one for You're Wrong if you can find some good source info to link to as well, or note. But I think I'd heard that Ultimate Game Pass might come with it, somebody said. And that would make sense to me. I was speculating that maybe they'll have, it'll be $5 just to add on xCloud as a service. Because, at the end of the day, it's not I don't think it's just going to be free just because you bought.
They
the
could
game.
go the Stadia model of like, if you want 4K, then you got to pay up a little bit more. Otherwise, it's free.
Yeah, and maybe for 4. I think they'd be wise to just have one fee. It gets too complicated, but that's a thought too. Is like if you just want like, phone 1080p, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Then you don't.
Or
have to
like
pay
I'm on
for,
hotel internet. I'm not going to get 4K anyway.
The ultimate service.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm excited. It's coming. The most exciting thing was the iteration from the spokesperson that they said, look, the first thing we're doing is lifting and shifting content that doesn't require any of the changes, and that means that any of these 3,000 games, that you can run on Xbox.
Yeah.
Like that is the big thing I know that Microsoft's been working on, and that's going to be the game changer. Like 22 games on Stadia, maybe what? Is there going to be 500, 1,000 next year if we're lucky? I mean, that assumes
For
like
Xbox One?
No, for Stadia. I'm like,
you think there'll be 1,000 games next year?
I'm saying if a whole indie games and all, maybe if it has any success. I'm not saying it will. It could easily. Like think of how many games are on Switch. Like if they make it easy to port. But no, you didn't let me finish the comment. I don't think there's going to be nearly that many games. And for xCloud to come out and be like, hey, all this is available. Like that's the difference that we're dealing with.
So let me ask you this. Do you think at any point Microsoft would ever make a Game Pass exclusive? A game that only exists, or you can only play if you're subscribed to Game Pass?
So you can only play, you can't buy it. It's just part of the pass.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's, again, this is where I'm going to core values. Like I don't think xCloud is that you can't play it, you can't just buy the game right on Xbox if you want. Like it doesn't make sense to me. And likewise, I don't think it would make sense for them to be like, you have to get Games Pass. Like you're just like, I just want to buy it,
I could see it.
I could see it. I think core values.
There are end runs around everything. Like for example, we'll go back to the Nintendo example. They technically do not have a thing where you can only buy this game with a Nintendo Online subscription. But there are only games that run with a Nintendo Online subscription. Like at launch, Tetris 99 was like that. That Kirby game is like
That's
that.
like Xbox Live.
Yeah, but it's like this would be an end run around the way to do it.
Yeah.
I think
it's
I think
totally
there's a
possible.
logic.
I just think it get like core values. I think what's interesting is, I think Microsoft is more than willing to be like, yo, you can get this. It's exclusive to Games Pass for $9.99, or it's not exclusive. Sorry, where I was going with this was, if you have Games Pass, you can play this. It's only $9.99, right? Or you can buy the game for $19.99 and own it. And that is it's
like a PS Plus model.
They do that type of thing today, and meaning I don't see why they wouldn't just continue that model. For them to say no, you have to get Games Pass. It's a little, in my opinion, it's a little loot boxy.
Because the answer is growth. Like that's
growth,
that's the thing that like gets every service in trouble. Is like we got good numbers, we could have more numbers.
Sure, but I do think it's against core values to bait you into the subscription service. I would love to be wrong on this one.
The words bait and value added are going to be very eye of the beholder.
I mean, who knows? Maybe there's already been some exclusives or something, but I think I just absolutely, no, I don't think. It is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. Making
me subscribe and cancel my credit card later to play a game when I'd rather spend $19.99 on it is my own business, and there's no technical reason not to do that. And I think they would get a ton of flack, and Microsoft has done a pretty good job to avoid that type of stuff. So I would love to see that in You're Wrong, as if they actually did it. Then I'd have a lot more to say on the topic. So.
You're wrong, not all that happened today, so maybe we're just all very right.
We're zinging.
Yeah.
So made that term up, I think.
Speaking
zinging
of
a thing? I don't know.
Speaking of being zung, Google responds to criticism of Stadia's 4K support. This is from GameIndustry.biz by Brendan Sinclair. Leading up to the launch of Google Stadia, one of the on-demand streaming service's big selling points was streaming and 4K resolution. However, one of the complaints multiple critics had with Stadia upon launch was that Stadia wasn't delivering on that promise. For example, Eurogamer's Digital Foundry editor Richard Ledbetter found that while the Chromecast Ultra TV dongle would output a Stadia stream of Destiny 2 in 4K resolution, it was actually upscaling the game running in a lower 1080p resolution. Ledbetter noted a similar issue for Red Dead Redemption 2, with the game apparently rendered at 1440p, then upscaled to 4K. Meanwhile, The Verge's Sean Hollister said, Destiny 2 looked like 1080p on a TV through Chromecast Ultra, and closer to 720p when playing through a Chromecast web browser. Today, Eurogamer reported that it received a statement from Google in regards to the discrepancy between what people expected based on marketing promises that all Stadia games would support 4K resolution and what people are actually getting. Quote, Stadia streams at 4K and 60 FPS, and that includes all aspects of our graphics pipeline from game to screen. GPU, encoder, and Chromecast Ultra all outputting at 4K to 4K TVs with the appropriate internet connection, the company said. Developers making Stadia games work hard to deliver the best streaming experience for every game. Like you see on all platforms, this includes a variety of techniques to achieve the best overall quality. We give developers the freedom of how to achieve the best image quality and frame rate on Stadia, and we are impressed with what we have been able to achieve for day one. Quote, we expect that many developers can, and in most cases will, continue to improve their games on Stadia. And because Stadia lives in our data centers, developers are able to innovate quickly while delivering even better experiences directly to you without the need for game patches or downloads. So the long and short of it is, they said every game's going to run at 4K. Day one, nothing runs at 4K. Mm-hmm. So they're saying they could do it. Theoretically, they're just not doing it, which they're kind of throwing the developers under the bus a little bit here.
It's total like smoke and mirrors nonsense. Reminding us that it can do it. Yeah, like what does that do for me? Anything could be done, right? Like, like the PS4 Pro, it could be 4K, but it's not. It's upscaled for a reason because of the performance,
Right.
that they had to meet based on the textures and the polygonal data and blah blah blah. And like, where I'm going with this is like, I don't know. It's already showing some signs of weakness as a hardware box in the sky because, if it was so powerful, like rendering your frames at 4K, should be somewhat doable. In other words, if it's an RTX 2080 Ti in the sky,
Right.
and running a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, I would hope. Well, not a good example because it had PC technical problems at first. But
Well, see, that's the
you
thing.
get my point. Is like, I don't know. It is going to take time. They will get stuff to 4K in the same way. Like, look, PlayStation 4 Pro can support 4K, and I have no doubt that Stadia is as powerful or more powerful in the sky. So they'll figure it out. But running stuff at 60, getting it to 4K, there's a lot of coding that's going to need to be done. I think it's going to be a while.
I mean, that's ultimately the thing, is that you need to port these games to Stadia. It is not as simple as throwing on the PC.
Yeah,
ISO.
it's a port on top of it.
Right.
Exactly.
So it is possible that these games were not ported well for a day one platform launch.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we tried to get it to run at 4K, but this is not a Windows environment. I believe Stadia is Linux based. Like, maybe it's just not like Rockstar and Bungie just weren't able to get it done.
Well, this thing was announced in March to everybody, including the developers. I mean, I'm sure they had some folks lined up before that, obviously. But
I mean, they had those things teasing Red Dead and all that stuff, so they knew.
Yeah, but like I think it was a very tight launch, and it's just showing the signs of it. I personally am.
Have you gotten your Stadia yet?
I only used it on Chrome on my PC so far.
They haven't actually sent you the hardware yet?
I got that on Friday, and like I was like, I'll meaning I know once I hook it up, I know that it's quote unquote plug and play, but then like I know there's gonna be a problem with my internet cable because I don't want to use wired, and then I'm gonna have to like go back and forth on that. So I'm probably gonna check it out later today. But
I got a Founders Pack, and I like set it up, and I started playing Destiny on my like 4K LG.
so you're using the Chromecast Ultra?
Yeah,
or
the
whatever.
Chromecast Ultra, which is hardwired in.
Yep.
And it is not 4K. It is not even close.
Yeah,
And it's just one of those things where it's like, it's too bad that like there's all these problems with the rollout, and on top of that, like it's still like it doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We were
I mean-
watching Greg play Destiny last week, like in the office, and I was sitting on the couch next to it, and you guys were like, "Oh, this does not look good. This does not look like Destiny," and then I went I was like, "Oh, it looks fine. I don't see the problem." Because at an angle and with some glare, it looked okay. When I actually stood up and looked behind it, I was like, "Oh, this is not great. This is a like 360 version of Destiny right now."
Yeah, it's funny to hear you say that. Yeah, I mean, I played Doom at E3 and have seen, the various stuff that they were showing in preview. And so I already knew what to expect. And also, I've been encoding video for 15 years. And
Yeah, that's
so
the thing.
I might-
It looks like a video file.
I mean, it is video file.
Yeah, I know, but it looks like a video file.
Not only it looks like one, it is.
Yes.
It's streaming frame by... I mean, it's not a file, to be fair. It's streaming frame by frame. But, I've been encoding video for 15 years. So maybe I'm a little more sensitive to it. But it's the thing I've been saying most is I don't think people with any of the cloud platforms are ready for... Actually, I think some people are like, wow, this is awesome. It works, right? Like, I can't... It's Destiny at 60 frames, by the way.
Yeah.
But... video encoding, it's just it's softer and the vibrancy is way down, versus staring. I also play on PC, right, with the signal right in front of me on a pretty nice monitor. And so that also depends too, is how's your TV? Some people have TVs where the brightness is cranked and it's kind of a crappy TV on top of it. And on those situations, they might not notice as much. I'm a lot pickier about it. There's no right or wrong, by the way. It's okay. I think you're lucky if you're not as sensitive to some of that stuff. Like, meaning if you watch a ultra 4K Blu-ray and you're like, I don't really see the difference, I'm fine with Netflix. I'm like, nope, I understand. I think Netflix looks great at times, but it's a world apart for me.
Right.
I'm just more sensitive to it.
It is cool how, like, I have two Chromecast Ultras, and it is cool transitioning from one to the other is pretty seamless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there's no complaints there. Like, obviously, the library leaves a lot to be lacking.
I mean, I'm glad you brought it up, Kevin. I think that is it's the thing we should remind folks. Look, this is not a high fidelity tech platform. It's not a PS5.
But they said it is.
Their marketing,
Yeah.
we
Their
could,
marketing has
till we're
totally
blue in the
fucked up.
face,
Yeah.
we could go over the gaffes I think they've made with the marketing so far. Just like it's 4K HDR on your
Literally,
TV.
that was the reveal, is Phil Harrison
I know.
standing in front of a thing saying PS4 is this, Xbox One is this way bigger circle is Stadia.
To be fair, it is 4K. The resolution on your TV. The game is not.
That's exactly what Microsoft said when
it was-
Xbox One launched.
What was interesting too is I also I can check my Wi-Fi.
It's also 60 FPS.
My Wi-Fi usage, or not Wi-Fi, but like my router.
Yeah.
I can check what's
data usage
using
and all
what,
that, yeah.
and it's like it was like going up to like 32 megabits a second. So like it had like the signal strength was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I have no doubt that they are getting a 4K signal and they're outputting a 4K signal.
Oh, yeah.
But the games are not rendering at 4K,
Yeah.
which is the problem. And like
the
Google
core assets,
they need a better explanation than, hey, we did well for day one. Like, it's the you tried star.
I mean, but they have a lot that has gone wrong, I would say. So, like, meaning
No.
they're going to be in PR damage control for a while.
I've never
like,
seen
look,
a more mishandled launch, personally.
I mean, in the history of game console, that'd be
Okay.
As
a professional.
Yeah.
Well,
Especially,
I don't know that we have
especially, I
time to
feel
go
like
over that list. But
right now, like I feel like with it being like in modern times when they could have like done something to be like, hey guys, we're delaying the launch.
Yeah.
We're now launching this as a beta. Like they could have said that a month ago.
Yeah, totally.
People would have been upset, but I feel like they would have been less upset than they are
I mean,
now.
Yeah.
they already
Now-
took their money, but you
Yeah,
know.
but like that's the thing. Like they're still like they still sent out the controllers and like keep everything the same. Just change
Actually-
the label on it.
Yeah.
And maybe say that the full launch is coming, and add 2 months of like free stuff to the 3-month.
Or like throw in a couple
Package.
more games or something like that. Like,
Yeah, instead of 22, you make it 25.
no, I mean like
Oh, you mean for the Founders Pass?
Yeah, like
Yeah, the people
it's
that have already
Destiny and
bought it,
Samurai
yeah.
Showdown, which is
Yeah, I know.
like
That being
okay.
said, I have played Samurai
already have
Showdown
Destiny.
quite a bit.
How are you liking it?
Yeah, no.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was not handled well at all. I'm just saying that there's certainly been some other bad launches out there.
I
but,
also bought it after like everything was like clearly broken because this is like I want this to succeed, and like the only way that like if you want something to succeed, you have to support it. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
even if it's broken.
yeah.
Yeah, the first we get some crap here, like it kind of funny for like believing in streaming as a thing. I don't necessarily know that I believe that streaming is the perfect next step for everyone, but I do believe that's where the industry is going to be going in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
as an option, it is fantastic, but I think to get to where it actually is successful and works, there needs to be a lot of missteps in the first place.
There will.
I
yeah,
think
we're seeing
Stadia
them.
is one of those missteps.
Sure, I 100% agree with
Let's hope that in the next 6 months to a year, this is a good like the platform works
I don't.
better.
I think
you. It'll
2 years.
It'll get better every month.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
It will like inevitably, and that's know.
Well,
the
I mean,
thing-
this one, they're like, so if this were not Google, I would agree with you. But I'm always going to be in fear that it's just going to be like, all right, fuck it, didn't work.
I know, based on their history of launching various apps and stuff like that. But yeah, I was going to say, it's not a high fidelity platform. It's not about that. It is kind of what Kevin was getting at. It potentially, as they refine the platform, the idea of playing on your TV, turning it off and going to bed, and you just paused your game and you hop into bed with your phone once it supports my iPhone, and you just start finishing stuff up there. Like, it's cool. It's going to have some very cool tech. xCloud's going to do it, and it is the future, like you were saying. And I go back to what I have said since Stadia launch. I'm so excited that Google entered the race because it is going to push everybody to do better, do faster, and despite the missteps that I'm very disappointed with, where just how launch was handled. Like, it's so far from what a gamer expects. It's definitely up the alley of like, hey, this is like a cool new product from Google, check it out. And I'm like, this is not to my expectation as somebody who's been playing games a long time. I feel a little bamboozled for $130, $140, to be quite honest.
Right.
That's, never mind, this works. Cool. It is a feat, by the way. It is a feat what the platform is doing. But what a disappointment it is as a gamer right now. And so I'm like, until I have all these features and it works a lot better, that's a disappointment. But I am glad they're entering the race, or we'll never get there, fast enough.
I don't think people would care that much about this specific thing if there were not already, like, if it were not already fun to clown on Stadia. So, like, as a news writer, you recognize when there are narratives.
Yeah.
And that don't get the word narratives confused with agenda, because some people
Page
do.
views? Is this what you're talking about?
Well, I mean, like, narratives of, like, Fallout 76 is doing bad. Ergo, every bad news story about Fallout 76 is going to do better and get more self-perpetuated cycles on Reddit and what have you. Stadia was a, like, big, confusing, garbled mess at the beginning. Ergo, the things that they essentially lied about but just probably didn't hit are going to be more emphasized when people will be like, wow, I can't believe this is another notch in the bad Stadia board.
Yeah.
Like, they did this to themselves, and they know that quite well.
Yep. Yeah, no, tons of failed expectations.
Stadia's launch reminds me so much of No Man's Sky. Where it's like, oh, wow, maybe you shouldn't have said so much,
Right.
I was going to say it reminds me of the Wii U. Of, like, the initial thing of, like, okay, we really got this going, and it's, like, slowly the dial starts turning to the left of, like, volume turning down as we get closer to launch. And then launch comes out, it's like, okay, here's all those great ideas we had for this. Not ready yet. Please wait a little while we come to grips with it.
But again, if they saw that coming, they should have put out
absolutely.
a big press thing being like, hey, we're reworking stuff. This is now a beta. You guys will still get the Founders Pack. You'll get extra games or something extra. And, like, just so you know, the launch is going to be up in the next, like, 6 months, like the true launch, and everything will work like we've said.
Yeah, I think they wanted to make a brand name established thing while xCloud and all the rest are still in beta.
Yeah. Yeah, I think their expectations are different. And, like, I'm sure that they knew very well internally that it wasn't going to go that well. And maybe part of it was justified that I don't know how many people pre-ordered the platform in the first place.
Probably not.
And maybe they didn't expect with the game lineup. They're like, we're not going to sell that many anyway. But, to your point, we need to get the brand out there. We're just going to forge on, and we're going to take it on the chin. And we're going to get beat up for a while. But we're going to, hopefully keep swinging, and not give up, like you said, Imran.
What this does, though, is, like, sully the brand name. Like, the only thing
absolutely.
it
totally does.
is totally, like, Stadia is going to be, like, a bad name, like, going forward because of this.
Microsoft was so smart to have the xCloud beta and the, like, announcement at XO. It may have just worked, like, timing-wise for how bad Stadia was messing up at the time, but having that stuff of, like, good news and this actually works while Stadia was, like, falling down over itself was smart.
Yeah. Well,
I can tell you one game you will be playing on Stadia in the future, and also possibly on the PS5 and Xbox Scarlett.
Oh,
Cyberpunk 2077 will probably come to PS5 and Scarlett, but not at launch. This is from IGN by Chris Priestman. CD Projekt Red plans on bringing Cyberpunk 2077 to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlett, but don't expect it to be ready for the launch of those next-gen consoles. The company also discussed the game's multiplayer version and its possible monetization. Speaking at CD Projekt Red's earnings conference at Q3 2019, Senior Vice President for Business Development Michael Nowakowski answered a question from the audience about Cyberpunk 2077 coming to next-gen consoles. One may safely assume that at some point we may do something with next gen. However, we cannot really be specific about what that may be and when exactly that may be, Nowakowski said. Quote, I will only safely assume that it's definitely not going to be around the launch timeframe of those consoles, so I think that's pretty much it. So it sounds like CD Projekt Red has not worked not gotten very far into looking how to bring its sci-fi RPG to PS5 and Xbox Scarlett. Not a surprise, given all the focus on Cyberpunk 2077 is out for PC, Stadia, PS4, and Xbox One on April 16th, 2020. However, Nowakowski did add that CD Projekt Red has always focused on developing games for PCs. So in many areas, we are kind of ready or almost ready for stronger specs. So from a technical perspective, this might be doable, he said. Nowakowski also answered questions regarding the possible monetization of Cyberpunk 2077's multiplayer version, which will be added a long time after the game's release. He wasn't able to give a clear answer on this as, quote, the project is in a relatively early stage, but he did affirm that it does have monetization elements, such as microtransactions, then they would offer good value to players. Quote, we keep experimenting, that's our first multiplayer game. We check various options, possibilities, and it's definitely not the first time to point you to a specific direction on, to point you to a specific direction on that, Nowakowski said. Quote, I expect that we won't change our general policy towards deals with gamers, so I expect wise monetization and, as always, value for money. CD Projekt Red has also previously stated that Cyberpunk 2077's single-player campaign will not have microtransactions, as it would lose the goodwill of our customers. So there's a couple of Cyberpunk ideas there. Not going to be at launch for next-gen consoles.
Yeah.
Which,
there's two stories going on here.
Yeah.
It's like the next-gen launch and then the microtransaction stuff.
When they showed it, not this year, but last year at E3, everyone, I think, went, yeah, that's not a fucking PS4. Like, that is not a game that I can see running on modern consoles.
Yeah. Like, I was thinking PS4 Pro, I'm
Maybe.
sure they'll figure out, how to do that.
There was a lot going on in that demo last year.
But yeah, I mean, they're a PC developer, as they just said. So,
yeah.
I mean, that is what it's running on, is very high-end PCs. When we get those demos, there's a lot going on. So I'm, again, feeling fortunate because, like,
you're a PC gamer.
Play on PC already. I'm set up with a pretty decent rig. But otherwise, to your point, maybe, is like, man, I'm excited to see this on the next-gen platforms. And what a launch game that would make.
Why
can't we make this happen?
Would you buy this game on a console for any reason?
I mean, it has to assume that I haven't played it as of last, or next May on the PC. So, like, you know what I mean? Removing that of the equation, like, yeah.
Okay.
On PS5 or, is that what you're asking? Next gen?
Well, okay, let's say current console. On PS4 or Xbox One.
Nah. Oh, meaning I'm the type that I'd rather buy a Black Friday bargain now on a PC, get ready, quote unquote, for it to come out in April and play it then. I just, what happens to me normally is console gens are transitioning. It's usually about 2.5, 3 years out into that within that 5-year cycle that I start to feel the like, this resolution, this frame rate, this what I'm like, I gotta switch. That happened to me last gen from 360 to Xbox One, and it certainly, now I start a lot earlier now, I guess. Actually, I don't know. In other words, right, I actually had like an old computer. I was streaming and mostly just streaming from it for a while, but I was playing games like when Tomb Raider was first, launched, and BioShock Infinite, and so that was sort of the timeline of when I made the switch last gen. And then for this one, I guess I've just had, it's been about 3 years, so yeah, it was about 2.5 years.
Towards the end of generations, I generally play most of my stuff on PC. Yeah. Like the current, I don't want to call them stopgap consoles, but the more powerful versions of the consoles have changed it up a little bit, so I'm playing like, it's just easier for me. Yeah. To play like Jedi on Xbox One X than it would be to get it set up. That was a mistake because apparently that version's way better. Yeah. But I will probably play Cyberpunk on PC.
As you should. I mean, again, a PC developer on top of that.
Yeah,
like, that's their first platform.
I don't see that game running well on PS4. I just don't. It's like when you saw that thing of them walking in the city and seeing all those NPCs walking around, I don't see like that happening well.
Yeah, I feel you on this one, man. And I normally wouldn't do this, but it will not run well on your PlayStation 4.
On a PS5 or
and
Xbox
even
2,
for a
maybe.
PS4 Pro, I think it's going to be a stretch to run well. But I think they'll get it to the point where it's fine.
Right, we're already at the point now where I feel like games are not running well on consoles.
Yeah. Like
Control is a good example. Jedi doesn't run that great, honestly. Like
I mean, I need to play action games. I guess I don't know if you can call this an action game or not, but almost all games, I guess I would say. I
You need to
want
play
to play
with
at
60
60
FPS.
frames.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to walk back to 30 frames at this point. I think there's a couple more like artsy type games that like maybe, but nah,
Are there games that you feel like this is a console game and this is a PC game?
Nah, I'm over that narrative. There was a time, but what I meant by that was, I guess, the comfort of sitting down in front of my TV and the way it used to be. Like, there was something there. But now, like, you can easily hook a PC up to your TV, and meaning it works a lot better than it used to as well. Like, you used to try to plug a PC in your TV, and it'd have, like, a VGA port or a DVI port to try
And it would
to
have
get
some
work.
huge overscan problems.
Yeah, and now everything, like, works pretty darn well. So it's super easy, in my opinion, just to plug it in. Like,
Yeah.
that's how I played Fallen Order, the preview before we could stream it and stuff. I just routed it through to my TV, and I was like, oh, this looks great.
That's how I played
From my
Control, and I
PC.
was like, this actually performs
See,
quite
I'd love
well.
to do that. I'm only playing on, smaller monitors.
But I do have that thing of like, this feels more like a console game to me, and I cannot explain to you why. But like, for example, if I were to play like the next Devil May Cry or the next Platinum game, I would probably play that on a PS4. I couldn't tell you why it feels more right for me to do
Is
that.
your PC hooked up to your TV, though?
Yes. Like, I just play Control that way.
Do you find it easy to pick up and turn on, though? And
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Ultimately, is that like
That plus
when
the
I want
ecosystem
when I
is-
want to do that, it's switching all this stuff, making sure it all works. My computer will freak out for a few seconds when it happens. Then if there's a hard crash, that's part of it too. If there's a hard crash, it's easier for me to deal with it on a console than it is on a PC.
Yeah, so exactly.
It's stuff like
and
that.
I think that's fair. There's still some, like, you got to start up Origin or whatever it is you're playing on,
Right.
and then you got to wait for the the
If it has
ecosystem
controller
feels a little
support,
different.
yeah.
And you got to be in a mood to go through those extra
And
steps.
some games don't support using the other monitor as the main monitor for a thing. If it's on Steam Big Picture mode, it will. But there are some Epic Games Store games that don't do that.
Yeah.
Complicated.
It is weirdly complicated, and now
But it's
I'm
funny
kind of
because
Go
it
ahead.
works fine. Like,
It works
boot
when-
you can boot
when
up
you get it,
Origin
it
and
works.
press play.
On top of that, you need to have a PC strong enough to run
Yes.
it. Because like I have
Yeah.
a decent laptop, but I don't think it can run.
Right,
any
but
of
this
these
assumes
games.
you do, meaning in the world of this feels like a console game. I get where you're coming from. I feel like, thankfully, that narrative's going away, and certainly with the cloud platforms, that's the point. Is we're getting to where like I might just pop on Fallen Order on my phone for a while in bed, and I had it on, and then I went over back to my PC, and I said this on I think Gamescast or maybe it was Games Daily last week, where I was like, my dream is I hope PlayStation and Xbox offer this is like I want to download and play this stuff. And if I hop over and play it on my phone, cool, it's just streaming with the same save and everything. But like if you could get parity on that somehow, right? So meaning I'm playing the downloaded version on my TV, full res, or on my PC, and then I hop over and I'm like playing in bed. But one is streaming and one's from my hard drive. But the resolution obviously is, and the fidelity is completely different. So that's
Yeah.
a world I could live in.
But Fran, that world is so far away. If I wanted to know what's coming to the mom and grop shops today, where would I look?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show host each and every weekday.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Yeah. Out today. Brain in Retro is out for PS4. Rescue Tale is out for Switch. True Fear Forsaken Souls Part 2. It was not a console listed. I'm just going to guess PC. Id Ego is out on PC. Nova Vault is out on PC and Mac. Helm Realm is out today on PC. Arrow is out today on PC. 6.0 is out today on PC. How do you think that game's going to rate?
Wait, which one? I was looking
6.0.
up. True Fear, which is on PC. I don't know. I don't even know what that game is.
Fran, you're missing the obvious joke. It's fine.
Oh,
Tides of Existence is out on PC. Unlit is out
Such
today
a
on
simple
PC.
joke.
I was trying to make sure they had the release date for True Fear. I didn't expect that. My bad. It's my bad.
New dates. One Piece Pirate Warriors releases on March 27th, 2020 on Xbox One, PS4, PC, and Switch. Grease hits PS4 this week. Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition comes to Switch on February 20th, 2020 for $20. That's 022022 or 2020420.
Wow, not
Yep.
confusing at all.
Not at all. No real deal of the day. The PSN Thanksgiving sale is still going on, but if you like physical versions, most stores are matching those sales. So, like, I saw Uncharted 4 for $10 at Best Buy. Like, Persona 4 is, if you don't want to wait for Royal or just fine getting it a $10 version now, you can do that.
Nice. So yeah, True Fear, Forsaken Souls, fairly highly rated on PC, Steam, Switch. on apps as well, Google Play and the Apple App Store. And I don't know if it made it to Xbox or PlayStation, but on that, maybe you can help us out. But
No fake fear for us. Only true fear here.
it looks like it is maybe. No, I don't know if it's on. Oh no, I'm seeing it on the PlayStation Store as well. It seems like it's almost everywhere. We list these for a reason is the point. So I got fixated on I was like, I want to make sure that they get the release date info. So done and done. It's on pretty much every platform and highly rated. It's a video puzzle game with some horror elements. So
1 in 3 people do not like horror games, Fran.
yes,
Yeah.
which is a fact that I don't know who made up
That's
on
a
the show.
statistic that I heard online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you he heard it online. It must be true.
Once you say it on the show, it becomes true.
Yeah.
Dear God. Well, I wish that were true.
We've
Then we
broken
wouldn't
news
have to have you're
before.
wrong.
Yeah.
This sounds like something.
It's time for Reader Mail. You can write into patreon.com/kindafunnygames where you can get the show ad-free. Speaking of ads, this episode of Kinda Funny Games Daily is brought to you by nothing because it's Thanksgiving week and we don't have ads this week.
Hey.
Frankfurter writes in, what's up, Imran and
support this
Fran?
week.
It's flu season, and it seems like I've caught it for the first time in nearly 6
Oh,
years.
no.
I remember as a kid playing video games while sick at home, and no one was around to tell me to go to bed. Back then, I remember playing through Ratchet and Clank and its many sequels while homesick. Do you have any similar memories on sick days at home? If so, what'd you play or do? Thank you for all you do, Frankfurter.
Oh, man. I mean, I can't remember the specific times, but that is a very common thing that I remember doing, yeah.
I remember starting Animal Crossing New Leaf while sick. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to just play this game all day in in bed with my 3DS. It's going to be fine. That game, you do one thing. It's like, all right, that's all you can do today once you start it because they want to like ease you in. So like, you just can't do anything else today. You can't progress with it.
Yeah, you like did all your tasks for the day or
Yeah,
whatever,
and it's
right?
like,
So
well, you could just wander around and like maybe shake some trees,
chop
I
some
guess.
trees
But
down,
like,
right?
not much else you can do. Like, fuck, this is what I spent I was going to spend my whole day playing this game.
Yeah, it was throttled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just like it happened to me so many times. I also think it's blurred vision because of, having worked at IGN for so long and there were so many games that I'd either be reviewing or working on and like being sick and it was just like part of the day and the job in general. But I'm sure there was many games. And then it really is the ones that you fake sick for. Mm-hmm. That's the real stuff.
That was Windmaker for
Any
me.
stories where you fake sick?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember. I mean, it definitely happened.
I faked sick to play Wind Waker. My mom was very explicit that if you were going to stay home sick, you're not going to play video games. But then she folded.
She crumbled.
Yeah,
She
immediately.
couldn't deal with your nonsense. Like,
Yeah,
just fine.
And I remember like when she came in to tell me she was like heading off to work. I was like all in the volcano dungeon already. And I was just like, all right, cool. I was like not even pretending to be sick anymore. I was just like sitting up out of bed.
Mom, you know what this is.
Yeah.
You're like, and that's the funny part. She knew why you were doing it, and you knew that she knew. And you're like, let's be
Let's be
not
honest.
pretend,
if I
Mom.
went to school that day, I would not focus on anything because I wanted to be home and playing Zelda.
exactly. I can't remember off the top of my head, but any number of big games that released in, I guess the 90s and early 2000s maybe. That I was skipping some work at IGN as well, but.
Speaking of which, BJ Bernardo writes in and says, "Hi y'all. As former employees of the medium journalism party of the game industry, do you ever experience crunch? Was it the same level we hear about from the developing part of the game industry? Is there anything you learned at your previous jobs that could help with crunch? Thanks, BJ." Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Absolutely. Like, I've thought about this a lot because crunch in game industry is a little insidious in the game journalism industry.
Yeah.
Because it's never like bosses don't tell you to do it. And to their credit, they don't tell you, like, they don't want you to do it. But
Yeah.
when you get a job,
Do and they don't.
okay, at Game Informer, they did not want you to do it. I
That's
have
the trick, though. Did they?
I believe that they did not, because they would tell me like, yeah, if the news goes up late, then who cares? Don't
Yeah.
break your back doing this sort of thing. But when you're in that industry, I want to say like this is just spitballing a number, but there's 500 jobs in that industry that 5 million people
Games
want.
media?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
5 million people want those.
Yeah.
So you always have this thing looming over you that you're worried that you need to prove your place here.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to crunch and do things because the game industry operates at odd hours. The week I got laid off, that Sunday I was staying up late at night, and I think it was until midnight, writing stories pre-brief for Gamescom.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, well, I need to get this news up. I'm not going to be awake for the thing,
Yeah.
so I might as well do it now. And the thought in my head was, you do this work, you work this hard to prove your place, and once you prove your place, you're good. Obviously, I got laid off, so that's not true.
Yeah, but you didn't get laid off for performance.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But like
different.
that level of you work to break your back and you work against all the odds and to prove to the world that you deserve where you are. Fate conspires against you sometimes. It's not always true. So crunch is very self-imposed in the game journalism industry. Mm-hmm. But like it's still a thing we all do.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I think you said it best, is that it actually is true that what I can say is actually the games industry has evolved to, they don't want you to do it. I was being a little snarky because originally that's what you were hired to do. I mean, legitimately, when I got hired, it was a 24/7 job. It didn't matter if news was breaking in Japan, and so it was 4 a.m. for you. Like, it didn't matter. Is make sure you get the story up. There was no conversation about, sorry, go home. Or, I mean, there's a little sympathy of your time, but not really. It's like, do you have that review ready? Where's the news story? Get up. But
reviews are definitely crunch.
Yeah, no, but it was everything. But we did news, screenshots, video. This is the early days.
Yeah, that was a weird. That was the time of like you had to be at it.
Non-existent CMFs where everything you upload straight to the FTP but whatever, uphill both ways stories. My point is, it's nice because the industry has evolved away from that too. They actually, there's enough. I should say enough, but barely enough sometimes, I think, money in the industry that, now people have a normal job with benefits and, don't kill yourself. We can get a freelancer to do this, but be vocal with me. And so it's nice that it's changed that. However, because I think of what it's born out of and what gamers are, you're just out there grinding, man. You want to complete your tasks. I think part of it is just being a gamer, but part, you hit the nail on the head too, is that there's so many people that would love that job and you're lucky to have it. And it's not like a stress
there are people who are
pressure.
willing to work like much more just to prove that if you're not willing to prove it, somebody else is.
Yeah. And I don't think it's the fear, but it's like you do appreciate, you're like, it's still a cool job and like I should get this done. And also there's thousands and hundreds of thousands sometimes of people seeing your work. And it's like, what a lucky person I am. But that's where the trouble creeps up, and I could go on for a long time, having been in IGN with many coworkers and employees. Like, it gets to you
burn out
if you don't take the break, and that's what you got to be careful of. And that was the last part of the question. Is there anything you learned to deal with crunch? Did you learn?
I would say the first 6 months of Game Informer, like at the end of that, I was ready to quit because I had burned myself out that hard. So I learned I need a work-life balance. I can't not make my entire life this job, even though I love the job and even though it meant a whole lot to me.
Yeah, it just would never stop.
Yeah, like at some point, I can't do that. So I had to learn, take time for myself, play video games that I'm not covering. Like, don't think, like, one thing I remember thinking about was, as a freelancer, everything you play, you have to think, what is an angle I can do with this? When I was working at Game Informer, I learned to turn off what is my angle on this idea. And it was just like, I'm just going to play this video game to play it. I'm going to, once I clock off for the day, I'm not going to think about games for the rest of the today. Like, certain days, I'm just like, I'm going to watch Netflix. That is my day today, it's not going to be video games. So they're like, the learning prospect was, I need to carve out time to have a life, because if I don't force myself to do that, then I will easily fall back into those same issues of the cycle never stops, and I always need to be a part of it.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say, it's a life lesson that certainly there's crunch in the games industry, and as you go into Q4, I mean, sometimes you have to actually play these 70-hour games that are due in a week, and it happens, and so that's part of the crunch that does exist. But what I was going to say is, across all jobs and family lives, etc., like there's always something that you could be worrying about, and you have to draw the line in the sand and figure out rituals and ways to not do that. And there was moments in time where I started to realize things like I was checking my email and meeting calendar, the night as I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
And it got frankly so bad that eventually I made like a choice and said, do not do it. And I'd find myself reaching for the phone, and I'd like flip it over, and I was like, no. And eventually, after the habit was broke, it was really nice. As I said, I can check this stuff in the morning because it was keeping me up.
Yeah.
And so little things like that, you literally have to do for your own sanity and your health. So make sure that you're able to do that check-in. It's super important.
My first E3 with Game Informer, I forgot to eat several days.
Yeah.
Like,
see, and that's
like, and this last time, last time I was like, no, fuck it, I'm going to make time to like go out there, and just sit with the headphones in somewhere, just not think about this,
Yeah.
and just eat my food.
Yeah, you have to take breaks. You have to just go drink water.
Yeah.
Things like that. It'll spiral out of control really fast. So.
All right. No squat up, so squat up with your family this Thanksgiving, with your friends and family.
Yes.
All right, let's check your wrong, or people have told us what we got wrong during the show. Let's see. Persona 5 is on sale. Imran mistakenly said Persona 4. That's correct. Yeah, Persona 5 on PS4 is on sale. Persona 4 is the better game. I'm going to throw that out there. Stadia sent devs over to Bungie for 6 months to help port to Stadia, so it's weird they're blaming the devs. That is weird. You guys are right.
It's not really a correction, but okay.
All
right, Mike.
Yeah. Other than that, everything else is stuff we've covered. So cool. Not many
we did a
corrections.
pretty good job today.
Yes. So tomorrow's host, it'll be me and Gary Witta, and then we'll be on break for the rest of the week after that. Remember, right after this, we are doing Gamescast Live. We will have a phone number where you guys can call in. Do not leave voicemails. You will call in, you will talk to us directly.
For Patreon members.
Also, there's a small chance that might not work,
Okay, there's a small chance it might not work, which means you're going to hear us talk about Jedi Fallen Order and Pokemon again. All right.
But they head to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames if they want to get access
So
to this.
If you were the silver tier level support, you
I
can
don't
watch it
fucking know.
early and participate.
Yeah.
Or the freelancers, Kevin. You got to know that. But yeah, head over there. We're going to have a fun show.
Director, I don't know that stuff.
None of us get salaries for this. It's fine. All right.
Well, some of us do.
Fran, thank you for coming.
Always a pleasure.
And I'll see you in like 2 minutes.
Have a great Thanksgiving, best
All right.
friends. What's going on, everybody? It's Fran, or FM3 _ right here on Twitch. Going to read through some of this additional support y'all throwing at us. Really appreciate it. Everybody who's watching live, who's stuck around also for the shout-outs. So, new support coming in. Thank you so much to Astray GT with the Prime sub. Thank you to Matty D123 with the Prime sub. Joystick, Irvine Dude, J Bernie 01. Alderon Champion, all with Prime subs. Also coming in, we got FM723 with a Prime sub. Hey, this is getting close to my name right there. What's going on? We got Head Led Off. I don't know about that one. Head 1ED off, Head Led Off. I don't know. Thank you so much for the 14 months Prime sub. I'm trying to look for chat because you could correct me. Top left, where, Kevin? Oh, here it is. I can read it right here. Where'd you put it? Kevin's touching my hand, everybody.
You like it?
No, I don't.
Your hair
That's
smells really good.
No, he's smelling my hair now. What is he doing?
It's not a weird thing. This isn't a weird
It's definitely weird. The whole thing
thing.
is
Well,
weird.
that's an opinion. Not weird for me.
Kevin, what are you doing? You know, I'm actually, so he came over here.
I forgot to stop recording.
All right, guys, let me continue.